So allow me to introduce the speaker, but before I do that, for those who don't know me, my name is Nancy Kiheka. I'm going to rename myself as well. My name is Nancy Kiheka, tuning in from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm a lifestyle director too. Nancy is a mother of 3 children, 1 young adult, teenager, and below teenager. Can you imagine? And I'm so excited to be here. For the last 5 years, I met this company and my life has changed. So today we have our great trainer in our forensic training, and guess who it is? You've already seen his face. This is Rene Liao. And for those who are meeting Rene for the first time, especially the new partners, he's actually our youngest millionaire in this company. Rene graduated from the University of Toronto in software engineer. He's a software engineer. And you know what? He worked for big companies like IBM. But after working there, he did not get the accomplishment that he was looking for. He did not make the money he wanted to make. And he met this company and he joined. Can you imagine being the youngest millionaire? He has set that record. But you know, as we say, the youngest millionaire, Rene is a married man to 1 beautiful wife, and he has 2 gorgeous boys. His sons, they are so cute. Do I use that word? Handsome young boys. And he's a father. He's a family man, and he's an entrepreneur. Rene resides in Toronto, in Canada, but today, because you cannot really predict where Rene will be tomorrow, he will tell us where he is actually training us from. So this is our forensic training. And ladies and gentlemen, I am reminding you, come with your notebook and pens because it's going to be hot here with a lot of knowledge. Let's live here with a lot of skills. So Rene Liao, kindly take it up. Tell us where you're tuning in from. We don't even know which part of the world you are at. Tell us where you are today, Rene.
Wow, good. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that great introduction. And again, a very good morning, afternoon, evening to everyone. I'm actually currently in the North Pole. It's very cold over here. I'm kidding. I'm actually back in Toronto. So again, we had a great time. We're in Minnesota, of course. Our superstar LD4 Ifra is actually still there, I believe, heading back on Thursday morning. So yeah, it's been a great weekend, and I got a chance to finally meet our wonderful team in Minnesota. And yeah, so again, great to be back here again. Thank you so much, Nancy, for the amazing hosting as always. I can't just say how much we appreciate you staying up so early in the morning. I know that in Kenya, it should be around, I think, 3 or 4 in the morning.
It's 5 now.
Oh, 5. Okay. Well,
yeah,
so hopefully you slept a little bit. You look wide awake, but again, thank you for staying up or getting up so early.
Thank you, Rene. Thank you. You're most welcome.
Okay, so team, I know that tonight it's one of those nights where I get to do one of my most favorite topics of training, and that, of course, is our compensation plan pitfalls. And I think this training is something that we got to do more often, honestly. Of course, this will be recorded so that you can, of course, share with people in the future. But in short, anyone that you've ever known that has ever been in this industry, and I believe that tonight's training is going to be so important for them because it really helps people understand, perhaps, you know, even working so hard, why sometimes some people don't have success in the industry. And of course, so I'm going to go straight into this training topic and dive right into it. Let's make sure that you can see my screen here. I apologize for the, it's actually my PowerPoint I made, gosh knows how long ago. And of course, that photo was when I actually got married. And that was 29 years, 2009. So wow, yeah, about 14 years ago. But anyways, that's not important because what's really important though is the topic. The topic again today is compensation plan pitfalls. And so what do we mean by pitfalls? One of the things, of course, in the industry that I realized after starting from my first company and my second company, and you know, just for fun, team, if you're on the call, just type in a number into this group chat with how many companies in network marketing you have been in. So how many different MLM companies you have joined. So we're getting 7, right? We're getting 2, 4, 2. And so that's not bad. I mean, wow, like that's not a lot of companies. I personally have been in 10. So we have a new record for that. Oh, Lucy, it's actually her first company. Lucky you. Henry with 20 companies. So I think we have a current champion, which is Henry Xiong, being part of, again, different companies. But I'm not surprised because Henry likes to find the best of the best products. And that's why he's been here for so long now, of course, because he found the best of the best products. So I myself have been in 3 companies. My first one, of course, was a company called Usana. My second one was called like a travel-based company. And one of the things that I struggled to understand, because you know how there's a saying, you know what you know what you don't know. So I know that I don't know how to operate and do eye surgery. So I know what I don't know. Of course, then you have what you don't know what you know. So sometimes you actually know some things, but you don't know that you actually know them. Okay. And then, of course, there's the last category, which is you don't know what you don't know. And that's where this training topic tonight really fits in, because I just did not know what I did not know. Because I didn't even know that this kind of training existed. So I didn't even know what I didn't know, because I didn't know that it actually existed. But now that I do know, I'm glad that I know that what I didn't know from before. So anyhow, that's why this training tonight is so powerful, because I believe that once you know what you currently don't know from this training, you're going to know how special Opulence Global really is. All right, so that's my introduction, and let's dive right into this training today. So, of course, there's many different kinds of competition plans in the world. There's, of course, the legal ones, 4 main types, or a mixture of the 4 types. Then you have, of course, the illegal ones. And so we're going to be looking at, of course, only the legal types of companies and comp plans that are actually out there. Okay, so there are many actual pitfalls in competition plans. And you're going to see what I mean by a pitfall as today's training continues, because a lot of times we just are going through a company, we're working our butts off, and despite how hard you work, there's things are designed in a competition plan that are actually designed to try to hold money from you. And you're going to see a lot of those examples tonight. We call them pitfalls. So some competition plans have more than one pitfall, and some even have almost all of them. And there's a lot of different pitfalls by categories tonight. So what we want to talk about is what we call the game over clause. So the moment you see a game over clause, it means you're done. There's no point in doing it. Okay, you've hit a brick wall. It means that you reach the end of the track. The sky's not the limit, and it means it's time to throw in the towel. Tap it out, because no matter how hard you work, if you see these pitfalls in another company or a plan, it's designed to not allow you to have true success. And so again, just understand at the same time, though, that when you see a game over clause, know that there's something much else better out there. And of course, if you can guess what it is, it's got to be Opulence Global. And you're going to see exactly why tonight. Oh, by the way, there's not going to be enough time for me to go over all of the pitfalls in this 1-hour training. So the good news is that I have gotten permission to continue part 2 of this training next week, and hopefully we can get through all of it. But I know one time it took me 3 weeks to go through all of the pitfalls. So let's keep on going here. So the first pitfall, number 1, is what we call payout allocation. So is majority of the payout in your competition plan in commissions, or are they more in bonuses? Commissions or bonuses? And if you're wondering, well, aren't they the same thing? No, they're very different. Commissions are not bonuses. They are much, much different. Commissions are going to be your main, like, long-term revenue streams. So think of it as a long-term revenue stream. It's your passive income. And commissions are basically good for us. Why? Because commissions, I'm talking about the binary commissions, they are paid weekly and they are paid forever. So as long as you have volume on your 2 legs, and you got your 150, and of course, you're active as an LA or brand partner or as an LA plus, as long as volume keeps coming in, you just keep getting paid weekly, week after week for the rest of your life. And that is how you can retire. So on the flip side, bonuses are usually, in a long-term speaking here, bonuses become a smaller part of your income in most companies. You might get a little bit more upfront, but you'll see how, again, it's not always a good thing, because I know some companies and I met some leaders and they'll tell me that they made $10,000 in a month. But when I asked them, well, how much of that 10,000 was in your residual commissions and how much of it was in your bonuses? And they said like about 19,000 or so 9,000 out of the $10,000 was in bonuses, because a lot of people sign up that much, for example. So really, that's risky, because how do you live a safe and comfortable life if you have family, you got your bills to pay, you have your monthly expenses? How do you live in peace if majority of your income is going to be in bonuses, right? You don't have any security in that. So don't ever forget this, that bonuses are a one-time deal. You got to do the work to get the bonus. And if you want the bonus again, you have to do the work again. That's what a bonus is meant to be. Like, so some workplaces have their bonuses every year. But again, typically, if you launch a new partner, you might get a bonus. If you qualify for MGRS, you might get a bonus. So every company has their bonuses. And what we're saying here, though, that is bonuses are good. Don't get me wrong, they're great. But in the grand scale of your long-term business, you definitely want to find a plan that pays more in commissions, in residual commissions. So if that makes sense, just send me a quick message and say it making sense to you, Renee, because I think it's important for us to understand this differentiation between commissions and bonuses. So payout allocations that focus heavily in bonuses, they make the companies rich, because you do the work, you get paid. And the company figures out, well, for every time you do A, you get B. So usually it's a very safe equation for the company. Whereas if a payout allocation in the company is more focused in commissions, it's made to make the distributor rich. Because again, like myself, I'm active every week. I got my 2 legs going, and every single week for the rest of my life, that commission constantly comes in, right? So in terms of a good split, if 80% of the payout allocation can be in commissions, that's a fantastic split. So in other words, if majority, if a company's going to pay out, let's say, X amount of dollars, if 80% of that is reserved for paying commissions, that's fantastic. And the 20% is, again, paid in bonuses. That's a really healthy long-term plan for you. But of course, the opposite is where you have 20% of your pay or less in commissions, 80% in bonuses. And usually what happens in those companies is a lot of people get in, they might make a lot of money in the beginning, but because it's so heavy in bonuses that they end up not making much money, and eventually they quit and join the next company. And so that's not a good long-term plan. I'm not here to build a business and have to build one again in 3 years from now. Right? I want to basically do one business and have it last forever. So if a payout of a company is 50%, so this is different. So when I say the company payout, so every company has a payout. In other words, it means for every dollar of sales of product that the company does, how much of that dollar is put aside in paying commissions? So, for example, in Opulence, for every dollar of product that is sold, 60% of that dollar is paid in the team commission. So 60% or 60 cents of the dollar is reserved for paying team commissions. Another 10% is reserved is reserved for the bonuses. So Opulence's total payout is 60% plus the bonuses. All right, so it's going to be probably well over 70%. So that is a really high company payout. So some company payouts are like 30%. Really, I should add another pitfall. The pitfall should be, what's the company's actual payout? So I hope that's making sense again, because some companies only pay out 30%. We pay out 70%. But now of the 70% that Opulence pays out for every dollar that comes in, 70% or 70 cents is reserved for paying out the distributors, 60% in commissions, 10% in bonuses. So that's a really healthy split. So again, what we're saying is, in this example here, if a company's payout is only 50%, then just to double check to make sure that 80% of the 50% is in commissions and not bonuses. So again, in our company, we have a 70% payout, 60% is in commissions, 10% in bonuses. It's a really, really healthy split. Okay. Now, of course, we just added the variance bonus, which really we have the world's most perfect compensation plan right now. But again, so that's the first pitfall, is the allocation of the payout. So there's company payout, and then there's the payout allocation, how it's split. How is the company's payout split up? So an example here I wrote a long time ago was that ABC company has 20 ways to earn commissions, and 19 of them are in bonuses. And so in this particular company that I looked at before, it's actually a real company, but I don't want to name the actual company. So they had all these fancy bonuses, like the comp plan was a really long document. But when I looked at the actual commissions, right? Because every company only really has one residual commission. They have a lot of bonuses, but there's one way of making residual income, correct? So when I looked at this residual commissions, team commissions payout, it was less than 1%. They even tell you, they say, okay, on this level, you get a quarter of a percent. On this level, you get a quarter of a percent. On the third level, you get 1%. On the fourth level, you get 2%. And, and at best, on this level, you might get 8%. But from the 9th level down to infinity, if you have the highest rank in the company, which no one really ever does, then you get 1%. So really, the actual payout is really just 1%. And so when I saw that, I was like, my goodness, I mean, it'll take you. So here's a question for you. If your team commissions payout is 1%, whereas in Opulence Global, our team commissions payout is actually 8.5% on the small side, plus 8.5% on your biggest side, but it's double. So 8.5 times 2 is 17. So 17 plus 8.5 is how much? So again, 17% plus 8.5 is 25.5%. Okay. Whereas other companies, they tell you it's a 1% payout to infinity. Which one would you choose for team commissions? How many more? So I think the answer is pretty obvious, right? But think about this. That would mean you would have to have at least 2,500% more people in these other companies to make the same commission that you're making in Opulence. Because if it's 1% payout versus a 25.5% payout, it means you need to have 25.5 times more sales volume or more people. So the saying, you have to build an army to make any kind of money. That's the downside of other companies. Am I making sense here? I really hope I am. Hope I'm not going too fast through this topic. If there are any questions, please ask it. But if it makes sense, maybe just give me some thumbs up, and so I can drink some water here.
Yes, a lot of it, Renee, and wow, this is amazing. Because if I mention where I was without mentioning the company, now I understand why they used to pay us in bonus and not in commission. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So we don't have any question as yet in the Q&A as you get some WhatsApp, but just people saying, just clapping and saying how how they are learning. And I think someone has raised their hand. Oh, did I see that?
Well, let's
No,
maybe we
I
can
think it
take
was by
all the
mistake.
questions. Yeah, maybe if you have any questions, please write your questions down in the QA box.
Yes.
That way we can try to get through most of today's training. Okay, well, thank you, Nancy. Thank you for checking the comments for us. And are we ready for the next part?
Oh, yes. Again,
Oh.
ready, taking all the notes and making sure that even the videos are open in case you miss something. Make sure that you cannot miss this.
Okay, wonderful. So the last part of this slide here was that, of course, in Opulence, we start from 5% up to 8.5%. And again, but most of you will be earning 8.5% because as your team grows, your volume goes. And so you're having the level 4 cycle, right? So again, that's why we pay out so much more compared to other companies. So moving along now. Oh, so the question of the 25.5%. So you'll see more of this later on, but in short, the way that I got 25.5 is because let's say you got the 8.5% payout, correct? Well, the way we calculate the 8.5% payout is we take your smaller side and we actually add double on your bigger side, add that together, and then pay out 8.5%. But what other companies do, and this is actually part of one of our pitfalls, is they only pay you 10%, let's say, on a smaller leg. So you might think, oh, it's 10%, it's a higher number, but the 10% is only on the smaller leg. So if I were to be accurate on how we actually paid out, compared to what other companies are doing, it'd be 8.5% on the smaller leg, but we're also paying you another 8.5% on your bigger leg. But your bigger leg is double the size of your smaller leg, right? So really it's 8.5 plus 8.5% in that case. So I've seen some companies that, let's say, were to pay you 5% on both legs. They call that 10% because it's 5% on one side and 5% on the other side. So I'm just doing the same system of calculation because it really makes you stand out the difference. It's actually 8.5 plus double the 8.5 on the other side. Great. Okay, I think I already answered your question. So thank you. Great question, by the way. So pitfall number 1. Okay, so I guess I did kind of tie it in together. I should really just separate it. But that's what I was saying before. How much of the company's revenue is put aside for the payout? So a good company can pay out roughly around 60% is the norm, although I've seen other companies pay out 30%. So again, it means that for every dollar the company receives for products, 60% is put aside for commissions and the rest is put aside. So if you're wondering, well, where does the rest of the money go? It's, it should be pretty kind of obvious, but if the company gets $1 from a product sale, of course, they have to make the product. They have to have some extra profits to run the company, right? So the rest of the money is put aside for the company to run. So with Opulence, they're keeping about 70% of every dollar for paying commissions, correct? So really, Opulence is running on a 30%. And so you can imagine, like, it's a feat that our CEO has kept this company debt-free and still rocking it like amazing, even 17 years later, right? So be wary, however, if you see a company that says they have like a 90 or 100% payout. Okay, one time we actually met someone who was trying to, I guess, just toot their horns and said things that didn't even make any sense. And they said, well, no, in our company, we have a 100% payout. And we were all shocked. We almost started laughing because we're like, okay, so if your company has a 100% payout, how does the company survive? Who's paying for the employees? Who's paying for the staffing? Who's paying for the rent? Who's paying for the IT? So is it possible for a company to run on a 90 to 100% payout? No, right? So just if anyone ever tells you we have 100% payout or like a 90% payout, just be very careful. But here's the flip side. Here's the danger part. Some companies will say that they pay out 60% or 70%. But because there's so many pitfalls in the plan, it's actually designed to really only pay out 30 or 40%. I'll say that one more time. Because in our company, because there's no restriction on volume, there's no like craziness, it pays out, right? It always pays out. And we don't flush your volume. We don't have, cycle caps. We don't have, cycle overages. So it just pays out. Other companies have so much stuff in their plan that it's actually designed to say it pays 60%, but it's designed to only pay out a lot less, like 30, 40%, maybe even less. Okay. So that was the next part, which is that some companies do say they pay out 60%, but if you look carefully at all the hurdles and the obstacles you have to go through to get your payout, it's really only just 20 or 30%, and maybe even less. Okay. So on to pitfall number 2. That is one of the most easiest ways to sound like you know what you're talking about and win almost every conversation if you're speaking to another network marketer, is what is the payout levels? How many levels does your pay plan pay? So quick question for our team. How many levels does Opulence pay to? I'm going to wait for that answer as I take a sip of my cafe. Infinity. To infinity and opulence. Right, that's so important. So if it doesn't pay to infinity, then game over. Don't even do it. What's the point? And that's what I didn't realize in my first 2 companies. My second company, they told me we have this 2x10 matrix, and I'm going to explain what a matrix is later on, but it only paid down to 10 levels. But again, I didn't know what I didn't know. So what I did think that I knew was that it looked pretty good. But you don't know it's bad until you see something that's even way better, correct? Point of reference. And so if your pay plan doesn't pay to infinity, walk away. And here's why. The longer you remain in a business, the bulk of your team is going to be way past 8 to 10 levels. Does that make sense? You might only have 2 people on the first level, a few more, on the third, fourth. But imagine you're in a business. Like, for example, I've been in Opulence now for almost 15, 16 years now. Do you think the majority of my team is going to be at the very top of my organization, or will it be beyond my first 10 levels? Right? The majority of your organization, as time goes on, I'm not talking about 1 year or 2 years. I'm talking about imagine 10, 15, 20, 30 years in this business. Majority of your team will be way below your 8 to 10 levels. So let's say you had 1,000 distributors in your team. The majority of your 1,000 distributors are going to be below the first 8 levels. So if your company's pay plan has any kind of a payout level, so only pays down to 4 to 8 generations or 10 levels deep, so they only pay you on generations or levels. If they don't pay you on infinite generations and infinite levels, just walk away. There's no point. The longer you stay in that business, the more you realize you're not getting. So imagine the company, this is the best example that Romain gave when I first heard this training. He says, imagine the company gave you a report of how much your total organization sales generated. It was like $10 million. But because you only get paid on your first few levels or generations, instead of making $1 million of a payout, you only got paid maybe $1,000. Again, because you're not getting paid on your whole entire organizational sales. You're only getting paid on the first few levels or generations. And that hurts. Like, the more that you understand how infinite payout is important, it makes sense. So if you meet someone who's another company, all you really have to do is ask one question. Well, do you pay to infinity, number one? They say, what do you mean? Or no. Now you have an advantage over them, and you can probably just really push, and they'll probably be more interested in learning about Opulence. So there are some other companies that say, well, when you start off, you don't get paid to infinity. And if you do something, then you get paid to infinity. But again, why would you join a plan that doesn't pay you to infinity and makes you do something to unlock all the levels? Why not just join a plan that pays you to infinity from the very first day, right? So I hope, again, that that makes sense, because you're getting paid literally to infinity. Oh, by the way, team, if you want this PowerPoint, again, for me, I always share my PowerPoints. I can put a link to this to this PowerPoint before we end the call. Is that a good deal for everyone? Okay. I think someone's asking for it to go back. But again, I have no issue in sharing, because I believe that we want to teach everyone this information, and that you can just EMT me $1. I'm just kidding. It's free, right? We give it's free. So, but again, I was just saying here before that it's nuts. I've seen some people, again, who just don't know what they don't know, and they're almost so brainwashed to the point where when I was talking to them about getting paid to infinity, their reasoning why their company doesn't pay to infinity was because it gives you motivation to do more. I'm like, wow, like, you're that deep in the hole where you can't tell left from right anymore, and you're just sort of you're eating all the stuff that the company is feeding you without really using your logical sense, right? Because again, there's companies like Opulence where they will pay you to infinity on day one. So again, I hope this is really drilling in deep into your mind. So another company I've seen before, I mentioned it earlier, on the first level, they pay you 0.25%. On the second level, 0.25%. On the third level, 0.5%. Now, again, every company is kind of different, but I've seen so many kind of plans where based upon levels or generations, they start paying you a different percentage, right? And then if you're really lucky, look, only on the last level, you get 8%. But it's like, how realistic is it to have all the people in your organization on the 8th level? Like it's not going to happen that way, right? So again, in Opulence, we are paying you, actually, if you do the math, 25.5% commission on every single thing that is bought or sold from your first level, your first generation, all the way down to infinity. And so again, pitfall number 2, if it doesn't pay to infinity, it is what we call game over. Okay, so one other thing that is really important to note, again, side topic, is that Opulence Global not only pushes volume up when people buy and sell products, but they also push volume when people purchase a package. So most other companies, my first company I was in, Usana, if like I actually sold one time the total package, it was like a few $1,000s. It was like one of everything. Okay. Guess what was my commission on selling that special package? Because it was so expensive and the company wanted to make it affordable, I got $0 when they purchased that initial welcome package. And when they signed up as a distributor, I also got 0 commissions. And there's 0 volume. So in Opulence Global, the amazing thing is when people actually launch as a package, 300 CV goes up to everyone, to like from the infinity, right? Everyone gets that 300 CV. So we also push volume on our packages. Okay, so continuing the pitfall number 2, because there are other kinds of competition plans that I mentioned before. There's unilevel, matrix, stair-step breakaway, and then of course the binary system. So the first one, and really the old school, what most companies started with from the 1950s, 1960s, is what we call the unilevel plan. In Chinese, they call it the the sun, like the sun, Earth, sun, because there's many rays of sun. In other words, you can build infinite amount of legs. So in a unilevel plan, what happens is that you can have as many legs as you want to have. 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, infinite amount of legs. And what they do is they incentivize you to actually have majority of the people on your first level, because the payout level on the first level is usually the highest. So in a unilevel plan, they might pay you, let's say, like 10% on the first level, 8% on the second level, and then 6% on the third level. So logically, if you're going to introduce a new partner into the company, where would you want to put this partner? On the first level, the second level, or the third level? So again, if your first level paid you 10%, second level paid you 8%, third level paid you 6%, where would you want to put the people you personally brought in? Yeah, in the percentage where it's highest. And in this example, you would put them on the first level. So here is the other contradiction that you have in this plan. Let's say you know 20 people, and all 20 people want to get started in your business. Based upon what we just talked about, where would you want to put all these 20 people? You'd put them all on the first level. So you'd have 20 different legs, right? 20 different legs. But see, here's where the problem comes in. Because most likely, these 20 people, a few of them might be friends. They might know each other. And if they know each other, let's say you have person A over here, person B, and then person C, correct? Now that you split them up, but they know the same people, they're now fighting against each other to bring in their common friends. Now you're creating an unhealthy competition, and you're actually going to be probably tarnishing friendships because people are trying to fight for the same friends. Or you cannot do that and put all your friends together in one, one line, but now you're getting paid less. You're getting 10% on the first friend A, and now 8% on person B, who's now under A, and then person C, and then person B getting 6%. So there's a contradiction. You're torn on which way you should build. On one hand, you want to put them all on the first level because you get the maximum commission, but then you create competition amongst your friends, and that always ends up bad. Or you put them all in the same team, but now you're getting paid less and less because you had to put them together, right? So that's what we call a compensation plan contradiction. There's a contradiction on how you want to build. However, again, the biggest issue in a unilevel plan, aside from that, is again the fact that you don't get paid down to infinity. And so the other effect, of course, what we just talked about, is now instead of building the plan deep, and believe me, okay, in depth comes longevity. And my question for you is why? Why do we say that in depth comes longevity? Why is it that the deeper you can build your team, the deeper and deeper you can build it, that the more longevity you have? Whereas the wider you build it, doesn't really create longevity. So let's see if anyone can guess why in depth and building it deep can we create not just longevity, but I'll give a hint. Longevity means you have to have good retention. All right, so let's see if anyone can guess what I'm trying to get at here. Why does building deep create longevity? And the hint is in retention.
Renee, if I can read what I'm saying. Someone says, because you can create residual income when you build across, there's no one under them. So building deep puts more people in the team. Someone else says, and you allow other people to create residual income as well when people make money.
Yes. So again, both answers are correct. I think Tony really hit it. I think Carolyn meant to say the same thing, but again, Tony, yeah, it's exactly correct. Because when you stack people, it's called stacking. Stacking in network marketing means that you're putting people under people. You're stacking them on top of each other, correct? When you stack people, people can earn from the sales below. So imagine you've been in business for 2 years. And 2 years later, you look in your team and you see one person. Do you really feel an urge to stay if your business only grew one person? Versus after 2 years, you see you have 30, 50, 100, maybe more people in your team. Now, you might have a teammate who had done nothing for a few years, but now they have 40, 50, 100 people. More likely than not, you have a good chance to have a conversation with them and to remind them of how big their team's grown without them. And now they probably might want to stay with you. So in depth comes longevity with a business. Does that make sense, team? Right? Because again, if you can put a lot of people under your existing partners, that at least can create some excitement versus the opposite, which is they're in for 2 years and sees no one underneath them. So that's why there's so many smaller aspects of the compensation plan that is rarely discussed about, but it's critical when you want to put it all together. Okay. So again, we just said here that unilevels don't really promote spillover or stacking. So again, spillover is where in a binary plan, you have A on the left, B on the right. You want to put in person C, you have to put C under A, or you have to put C under B. So now it's called a spillover because you can't have a third leg. You have to put that third person C under A or under B. It's called a spillover. All right. So again, in a unilevel plan, it does not promote spillover. In a binary plan, 100% it does promote spillover. Okay. So are we good to move on, team? Okay, I hope that made sense, and we're going to continue. Thank you for your thumbs up. I'm glad to see that you're all still awake in this in this training. Okay, the second type of compensation plan is what we call the matrix. And the matrix, basically, there's always an X by Y payout. X means it's a variable for how many legs you can build. And Y is a variable for how deep you can build. So my last company was actually a matrix. It was a 2x10 matrix, actually. So 2x10 means that you can build 2 legs and it will pay you down to 10 levels. So 2, then 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. Boom, you pretty much reach down to your 10th level. So to fill a matrix, you're going to have 12,000 something people. And again, I thought that was great because I didn't know what I didn't know. But now that I know what I didn't know, I'm sure glad that I'm not with that company any longer, right? So now a 3x5 would mean what? You can have 3 legs and it pays you down to 5 levels. So I find that either they're really narrow, 2 and deep, narrow and deeper, or they're wider and shorter, more like a stubby kind of thing. Again, because it's a matrix is always X by Y, it means there's always going to be a cutoff on a level, and hence game over. Now here's a trick question. What would be a binary? What would be the fill in the blank for X and Y? So in Opulence compensation plan, what would be X and what would be Y? Again, we have a binary plan. So the X would be 2. Oh, yes. Great job, team. And the Y would be infinity. So that's really the difference. In a binary plan, it's 2 by infinity. But in a matrix, it's always X by Y, and the Y is not going to be infinity. Okay. But yeah, so wow, a 3 by 14 plan. That's, yeah. So again, some might say 2 by 50. It doesn't matter. If the Y is not infinity, it's an instant game over, because the longer you remain in a business, the deeper and deeper will your team grow, and you're just not going to get paid on all that stuff. You want to get paid to infinity and opulence. All right. So that's the matrix. And the other issue that I hope you don't mind if I go a bit more in-depth details. I won't use the word advanced, but I just feel like sometimes if I don't have often the opportunity to teach this kind of information, and when I get a chance to, I actually enjoy doing it. So I hope you don't mind getting more details. Is that okay, everyone? I go into more details with the matrix plan. So, but anyways, I'll just do it. So here's another catch that you had to understand that might happen sometimes. So in a 3 by 5 matrix we have over here, you get 5% on the first 3 people, but the 3 have to get their own 3. So you'll have 9 on the second level, getting 4%. Those 9 get 3 each, right? So essentially you should have 27, 9, 9, and 9 on level 3, getting 3%. And then you get 51 on level 4 at 2%, and then 153 people on level 5 at 1%. Okay, so again, what happens though is a lot of the matrix plans always tell you if your matrix is perfectly filled out, meaning you have exactly 2, 4, 8, 16, 30, 64, 128, blah, 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 or you have exactly 3, 9, 27, 51, 153. But the reality is you can never realistically have a perfectly filled out matrix. And here's why. Because let's say we have A, B, and C. Let's say that person B, after a few days, decides to quit. If person B decides to quit, do you have the next 3 people under B? So if B joined today and quit tomorrow, will you have these next 3 people under B? No. Will you have the next 9 under those 3? No. Will you have the next 27 under those 9? No. Will you have the 51 people under the 27? Is that even right? Oh, it's 81 actually. So 81 and 243. Yeah. Anyways, you get my point, right? Will you have the next 81 people under the 27? No. So how is it possible to fill in the matrix, right? So, and however, the counter to my point, you could argue, well, no, Renee, in my company, we have what's called compression. What compression means is that if someone is canceled, compression means that the next person who signs up will bump up. They'll bump up into this spot. So now you're thinking, oh, it's compression. It will fill in all the blanks for me. Then my counter, okay, to that response is, what if person B didn't cancel, but person B just wasn't active? So person B just never ever brought in people. They didn't quit, they just weren't active. Then you still don't have these 3 and the next 9, the next 27, the next 81. Does that make sense? I hope I'm not getting too advanced here. Again, if you don't get it, it doesn't even matter. As long as you just understand that we have the best of the best plan in the whole entire universe. Okay. So in short, if you see a matrix, instantly it's a game over. Okay. And the last one, or the third one, the last one I think we have time for today, okay, is what we call the stair-step breakaway. Now, the stair-step breakaway is probably one of the most hardest type of plans to really, like some plans, they'll say we're a binary plan. Some plans say we are a matrix plan. Some plans say we're a unilevel plan. Rarely do I see a plan say we are a stair-step breakaway plan. So you have to kind of look at the plan and figure out that, okay, this plan is actually a stair-step breakaway plan. And it's one of the most toughest things to build on. And so are you ready? Are we ready, team, for this stair-step breakaway? It sounds fancy, doesn't it? The stairs and ooh, ooh, water. Okay, ready. Here we go. So in a stair-step breakaway plan, there's basically two components to the compensation plan for trying to earn your commissions. So the first part is the stair-step part. Think of it like you have to climb up some stairs. So let's say you're a brand new distributor, okay? And either it's based upon the more sales you do, then you can advance up the stair step, like advancing a rank, and you get a higher payout commission. Or it could be when you sponsor X amount of people, or usually it's a combination of both. You got to sponsor people and have sales to advance up the stairs. So if you get to assistant supervisor, maybe because you have 2 people in your team and they did X amount of sales, now you can earn 5% on the sales done by your team. If you have 25 people or X amount of sales, now because you have a bigger team, the company gives you a higher commission, like 8%. And maybe at assistant manager, you have 75 people and 13%. So, and then at the highest level, maybe you have 120 people on your team, and now you're getting 18%. So this is the stair-step part. So you have to sell more and build a bigger team in order to unlock a higher commission. But again, if you're in this company and you don't know any better, maybe you're even brainwashed, you're probably thinking, no, the company wants to motivate us, keep us working really hard, and give us a higher goal to shoot for and have more to get more commissions. And my argument would be, if the company was really trying to help you, why don't they pay you 18% from day one? And the answer to that question is because they can't. They're trying to pay the bigger leaders more commission. And so they're going to pay 18% to a select few and pay 5% to or less to the majority of the field. Again, it's not really a fair playing field. That's why I love Opulence. Regardless of our rank, our cycles are the same. You had 900 CV, I had 900 CV, we both get $45. If you have, 5,400 CV and I have 5,400 CV, we each make $460. We get paid the same cycle. And and I might be able to make more in a week, but you don't lose because we don't have cycle overages. So you never lose any of the CV in your team. So again, this is the stair step part. Now, here is where it gets a little bit crazy, and we're almost done, all right? It's almost 10 p.m. here. Here's where it gets crazy. If someone were to, so once you get to manager, okay, I'm going to just cover this part later on, but once you get to manager, where does the breakaway come into play? This is where the breakaway kicks in. Let's say you're a manager and you have 120 people in your team. Let's say one of those 120 people, if anyone in your team also reaches the rank of manager. Now you're a manager and someone in your team is also a manager. What do you think happens? Well, it's in the name. They break away. What does that mean? It means you don't earn the 18% from that manager downwards. And if you're really unlucky and the person right below you was that manager, Then from that person all the way down, they just broke away from you. Yeah, it's crazy mess. And let me ask you, like, there's so many screwed up components here. So usually you want to help your team generate more sales because you can make more commissions. But in this plan, do you want to help your rising star become a manager if they break away from you? It's messed up. And some companies actually tell their teams that it's great if your team breaks away from you because now you can advance to some other crazy rank that doesn't really pay you more. And they have different ways of convincing you that it's a good thing, but no. Why can't they just have a plan that pays me 18% on everyone, regardless of the rank? So in opulence, if you're a brand new lifestyle advisor or an LD 1, 2, 3, 4, and on each leg you have a lifestyle director royal, like the highest rank in the company, that does not, there's no negativity to that. You would be laughing. I mean, if I could have 2 LDRs, one on each of my legs, and I'm still in LD4, I would be celebrating like no tomorrow. Because in opulence, they don't take away any of the sales. You get paid on all of it. It doesn't break away from you. You don't get paid less. You don't get D-ranked. None of that kind of stuff. So that's the breakaway. So again, usually when they break away from you, instead of getting 18%, okay, because they can't pay you 18% and pay that manager 18%. So when that person breaks away from you, now you might only get 1 or 2% of that person onwards. And so this is a really annoying thing that I've seen. I've seen some companies call the breakaway part, they call it gates, the pay gates. You know, where when people reach your rank, you reach the first pay gate. So it sounds good. Wow, I got to the first pay gate. But realistically, what really happened is they got broken away from you and you earn a bit less from them. Because here's the thing, there's so many other components here that is pretty messed up. Because there's a lot of gaps here, like between this 8% and this 5%, there's this, 3% that really is not getting paid out to someone here. The 13 and the 8, well, there's 5% not getting paid out here. So looking from the top down, if you have a manager here and an assistant manager who's getting 13%, right? Really, there's another 5% that went to the manager but didn't go to the assistant manager. From the assistant manager down to the supervisor, yeah, between 8 and 18, there's 10% gap there. And from 13 to 8, there's another 5% gap. So this stuff here is really money that the company is pocketing, because why would they pay out 18 to everyone? Again, between the 5 and the 18, between these two ranks, there's 13%. Between this and this rank, there's 8%. So there's all these missing, they call it missing zeros. Like, you're not going to get this information. You're not going to get this commission here. And it's all the sales being done by your team, but are you getting it? No. And so, again, the stair-step breakaway plans are really confusing for a lot of people. It doesn't pay to infinity because it breaks away from you. The fact that it breaks away, how can you get paid to infinity? Like, it's not, they break away. And so anyhow, I hope that didn't confuse too many people. But again, the nice thing is you don't really need to understand all of this stuff. Just understand that either it pays to infinity on both legs or it doesn't. And so we've already reached the hour mark, and I started like right away. And so there's quite a few more pitfalls. The next one is going to be the binary, but here's a little sneak peek for next week. Not all binaries are made the same. Not all binaries are equal. So that being said, I hope that I wasn't too confusing on today's training. I hope that I was able to actually make known to some people the things that were unknown. And I can't wait to continue this training next Tuesday. Again, as always, Nancy, thank you so much for being our incredible host of the month and for being up so early, and I turn the call back to you. Thank you. Oh, I think you're muted there.
Thank you so much, Renee, for taking us through the compensation plan, because when we understand that we have the best, we will not look anywhere else. And I can tell you, like the last you have explained, I suffered that, if you know what I'm talking about. So I can see people are really appreciating, and there's someone who asked whether this will be in the YouTube, and yes, this will be in our back offices, and you can actually get the recording in case you missed. And the recording is so good because you can sit and listen, take notes once, again and again and again and again. So Renee, I want to say thank you so much. I love your training, let me tell you. And I always say, anytime I have any gap, any hiccup, anything that I want to know, you're always there. I call you and you pick and you help me. So having that kind of a leader who helps us understand, you know, and fine tune understanding, especially the compensation plan. We are so blessed to have you, Renee. So
And
team.
as promised, I'm just uploading the latest version. So if you give me 20 seconds, I'll put the link to this this PowerPoint in the group chat. And I know Ivy, I want to ask Ivy to go and make a prettier version, but she's really busy, so it doesn't matter. I did put the link into the group chat.
As you do that, Renee, I could actually go straight and give announcements of the day. And I want to share my screen as well for the announcements, just to share with the team what is happening. And I want to make this announcement. Do we know that all the brand partners who have been in the business before February of this year, they have an opportunity to actually upgrade with our Build Assist promotion? Do you know there's a Build Assist promotion? Please call all the brand partners who have been in that position before February of this year or this February, and they have an opportunity to upgrade. They can upgrade to Lifestyle Advisor Plus with 1,300 Canadian dollars. Can you imagine? And what are they going to get? They're going to get 910 shopping credits. They're going to get their mystery box gift worth $1,000. They're also going to be at 30% plus 10%. That means 40% instant. And they're going to receive 300 CVs on the push-ups. So call the brand partners, have a conversation with them, and tell them they don't want to miss this great opportunity. So it's time for us. Look at your team, talk to them, and share with them this great incentive. Have you visited your back office? Have you seen the tools that have been loaded there? If you have not, kindly make sure that you do that, because we have 2023 tour PowerPoint, we have our compensation plan, and we have a new survey that is available. So go back to your, go to your back office and download, and make sure that when you're doing your tours or you're doing your one-to-one, you're using the new presentation. It is so beautiful. And I'm telling you, you don't want to keep using the old system when we have the new system loaded in our back office. Last but not least, this coming Saturday, you don't want to miss this great training. Coming Saturday, it's going to be 10 a.m. East Standard Time. Yeah, next Saturday. And we have our great trainer, our lifestyle director, one stepwise. She's going to take us through the next 30 days. Please come and learn how you can plan your success in the next 30 days. So check your country time. For us in Kenya, it will be 6 p.m. Please, let's all be there for this training. So these are the lineup of announcements I wanted to make. And I know, Renee, you have actually been able to put that link in the chat. So when I look at Q&A, we don't have any Q&A so far. No question.